Moving on to our top international story this hour, we are following some disturbing news out of the tech world, as this week the Confederation of British Industry, or CBI, issued a warning about the future of microchips in the workplace. According to The Guardian, a British company has already fitted 150 implants in the UK alone. Biotech's chips, according to its website, quote, store a range of encrypted personal data from bank account details and passwords to medical data or Bitcoin wallet details. The device is implanted between the thumb and forefinger, and depending on which kit you choose, costs between $90 and just over $300. The organization is concerned that employers could eventually force workers to be chipped, the way you may chip your pets, for example. The Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress in the UK added, quote, microchipping would give bosses even more power and control over their workers. There are obvious risks involved, and employers must not brush them aside or pressure staff into being chipped. Now, you might be thinking such concerns sound hyperbolic, but you would actually be sadly mistaken. Believe it or not, companies have already started microchipping employees. For example, a cafeteria kiosk producer in River Falls, Wisconsin, chipped employees last year.
There are governments that run central banks that they were one of the first ones to call us to say we've got to control our employees, and we need to have certain access levels, and we can't have that compromise, and they saw that as a solution. They need that. They need those controls.
Joining us now with the future of microchipping in question is former UK Member of Parliament George Galloway.
Well, I'm sure not. I mean, beasts are branded and slaves are enchained. This is, I suppose, the next stage. The wage slave will be microchipped. And the employer, imagine Amazon, just for an example, other brands are available, employing 500,000 people, every one of them, one day perhaps microchipped. So the company will not be able just to employ you at rock bottom rates. It will know how long you went to the toilet for electronically. I might even know what you did there. It is grotesque, it is obscene, it is, on the face of it, ridiculous, except, as you've just pointed out, it's already happening. And even here in Britain, it's happening. It's happening in the United States. It's happening in the tech industries already. And of course, it's all very well saying it's voluntary, but when you're a wage slave, voluntary doesn't mean much. If it's get this job and sign up for the chip, or don't get the job, well, people will take the chip.
What concerns do you have about this technology, and are you confident in the British government's ability to regulate these chips?
I'm not at all confident. But it is come to something when the CBI, which is the employers, the bosses' organization, are expressing their anxiety and unease about this move. But we know from recent times that what starts out as resolute opposition incrementally becomes the prevailing orthodoxy, and it would be a dystopian Aldous Huxley future if that's how we all ended up, chipped by our employer.
A British company is helping employers to microchip their staff. Biotech says it has already fitted 150 implants in the UK, which enable people to open doors or even start a car with a wave of their hand. But trade unions are warning that bosses already have too much power and employees should not be pressured into being chipped.
It might sound a bit sci-fi, but some companies promise a future where you can open doors, pay for your dinner, or even clear customs using microchips implanted in your hand.
Currently, the microchips can be used for opening doors, starting cars, so swiping your hand on the steering wheel.
You can start a car with it?
Start your car, yeah.
OK, all right, I'm interested.
Logging onto laptops, so I can scan my hand, and my laptop logs in.
Look at that.
And future technology for this is contactless payments, passports, a whole variety of different technologies could be integrated into the chip.
You can use implants to buy some train tickets in Sweden, and at least one company in the US has given staff the option to access the building and pay for meals using them.
In the past couple of years, several thousand people have had these little rice grain-sized microchips put into their hands, which contain information that they can use to, say, check into the gym or get into the office or pay for train tickets, right? So on the one hand, everyone can appreciate that that's convenient, right? How many times have you been looking for your key fob at the gym or can't remember your password for something? But I think the bigger question here is, look, as the human body itself becomes a technological platform, right, there are big questions we need to consider about what kind of information is put out about us, from us, quite literally, and also further down the line, what kind of access do other people or platforms have to that information that is inside us, right? This is a biotech question, this kind of blurring of the lines between the human body and tech. I mean, it's one thing if you're holding your smartphone and it's sort of emitting data about you. It's another thing if your own hand.
By injecting a rice-sized microchip into a willing employee's hand, all kinds of data can be programmed into them, from driver's licenses and medical ID cards to some experts suggest caution. Among the concerns, ID theft, health, and whether the chips can be tracked by GPS.
Most people don't really understand how this technology works, what data is collected, how it's stored, or who might be able to get access to it legally or illegally.
3 Square says their employees cannot be tracked by satellite. Melissa Timmons was skeptical, but is now chipped.
Yeah, right now it's only to buy a candy bar and get in our building, but there's a lot more that's going to be coming with it.
Retailers can track me on my phone to see if they can get me to buy some socks or underwear. It's a different thing if my employer can see where I am, see what I'm doing when I'm off the job.
This is serious stuff. We're talking about a nonstop potential connection to my body. I can't turn it off. I can't put it away. It's in me. That's a big problem.
Even a dedicated biohacker has concerns.
It's very easy to hack a chip implant. So my advice is don't put your life secrets on a chip implant.
Somebody put an implant inside me. I found it this morning.
Back in 2004, the Manchurian Candidate suggested a future where humans are chipped and controlled. We have been warned.
I was part of a small group of people on Earth pushing the boundaries of what it means to be human. And within minutes, I was meeting with their tech team to get my chip programmed.
I guess what you're saying, to sort of put it in layman's terms, if I wouldn't need to take this out until we live in that futuristic world where everything's wireless, cash is gone, autonomous vehicles take us everywhere, and I'm just beeping my way through my day.
Really, probably you'd never have to take it out, and this is what we think is going to propel us into that next stage in life, the cashless society like they're doing overseas already. This would facilitate that because you wouldn't need to carry any cards or cash. Everything would literally be stored.
What ends up happening in a lot of situations with technology, and you can even point to any of the major tech companies that you interact with on a daily basis, they start off wanting data for one reason and end up using it for many other reasons. And so that switch of what your expectations are, is a little different when you are using a device or service where you ostensibly have an ability to walk away from it. And when you have something implanted in your body, of course, that
we did this honestly initially just for fun because that's what a technology company does. And often when you start with something, you end with something completely different. And that's the case here. We started with a simple little chip, and now it's evolved into a whole nother business, which we're in development right now of an actual chip that will be powered by the human body, the heat, and it'll have GPS tracking capabilities along with voice recognition.
Yeah, experts say it won't be long until microchips are used as passports, driver's licenses, even to pay for things like public transportation. The chips being used by 3 Square Market were actually developed.
Futuristic, but really, they're just a visible sign of something that's already here. Because you don't need a microchip to be tracked on London's tube network. You just need one of these. Every time you tap in, you're being tracked. Every time your phone pings off the Wi-Fi inside, that's tracking you too. If you use one of these bikes, that's tracking you. And so is everything in the so-called smart city. The sci-fi dystopia we're all so worried about is actually already here.